After 20 years of smoking, the most dangerous thing in your head is not the craving. It is a single quiet belief, the one that says it is already too late. The damage is done, you have smoked too long, the harm is baked in, so what would even be the point of stopping now? If you have ever thought some version of that, you should know two things. It is the belief that keeps almost every long-term smoker smoking. And according to the science, it is flatly wrong. Start with the hard numbers, because they are not subtle. Researchers have followed enormous groups of smokers for decades, and the finding is remarkably consistent. Quitting adds years to your life at essentially any age you do it. Stop in your 40s and you win back close to 9 of the years smoking would have taken. Stop in your 50s and it is around 6. Even quitting in your 60s still buys you roughly 3 more years than carrying on would. And you do not have to wait decades to see it. In one large study spanning more than 1 million people, much of the survival benefit showed up within just 3 years of stopping. And within about 10 years, a former smoker's risk of dying had fallen close to that of someone who never smoked at all. Read that again. Close to someone who never smoked after 20 years of smoking. So where does the "it is too late" feeling actually come from? It comes from making the wrong comparison. When you tell yourself the damage is done, you are quietly measuring yourself against a person who never smoked, deciding you can never be them, and concluding there is no prize left to win. But that was never the choice in front of you. The real comparison is not you against a never smoker. It is you who quits now against you who keeps going. And on that comparison, the only one that is actually yours to make, quitting after 20 years wins by a landslide, years of life and far more of them spent well. You are not choosing between a perfect body and a ruined one. You are choosing between two futures that both carry some history, one of them markedly longer and healthier than the other. Framed honestly, too late is not a fact. It is a story that talks you out of the better future while you still have it. Now let me be straight with you because you have earned honesty rather than a sales pitch. 20 years does leave a mark, and not every bit of it reverses. Some of the elevated risk lingers, and certain structural damage does not undo itself completely. Anyone promising you a perfectly clean slate is selling something. But a vast amount of the risk genuinely does come down, and it starts coming down quickly. Within a few years of quitting, your heart attack and stroke risk drops sharply. The rate at which your lungs decline slows back toward that of a non-smoker, even if the ground already lost stays lost. And your overall odds keep improving the longer you stay stopped. The point is not that quitting erases 20 years. It is that your body, even now, even this late, is still very much in the repair business, and it gets to work the moment you give it the chance. Which flips the whole question on its head. If the body recovers this much even after 2 decades, then the thing standing between a long-term smoker and quitting was never really the lungs, it is the mind. After 20 years, smoking has stopped being something you do and become something you are, stitched into your mornings, your breaks, your stress, your sense of yourself. That is the genuine obstacle, and it is also the good news because a belief, unlike a scarred lung, can actually be changed. The damage you cannot fully undo is not the part that is keeping you smoking. The part that is keeping you smoking is the part you can still reach, and that is why, for a 20-year smoker, the best way to stop smoking has almost nothing to do with the body, and almost everything to do with rewriting what 2 decades taught you to believe. Which is exactly why, for someone who has smoked this long, the approach that works has to go after the belief and the reflex, not just the receptors. On the conscious side, cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive behavior therapy take apart the 2 stories a long-term smoker leans on hardest. That it is too late to matter, and that the cigarette is part of who you are, and they argue both down until they stop holding. Below that, in the automatic layer where 20 years of repetition has worn the deepest grooves of anyone, hypnotherapy to quit smoking uses deep relaxation to reach the reflex that has been running on its own since before you can clearly remember. Hypnotherapy to quit smoking is no miracle by itself. The evidence on it alone is thin, but set on top of the belief work, it reaches the part of a long habit that reason cannot. And this is where most of the standard help misses a long-term smoker entirely. The patches, the gum, the lozenges, the familiar stop smoking aids are aimed at the nicotine in your blood, which after 20 years is the least of your problems. They do nothing about the 2 decades of belief and identity stacked on top of it. The structured options often stop at the same line, whether they are sold as stop smoking programs or as clinical smoking cessation programs, and the quit smoking aids a clinic hands a veteran smoker are still mostly about easing the chemical withdrawal. None of those smoking cessation aids touch the thing that actually keeps a 20-year smoker smoking, which is not the molecule but the certainty, built over half a lifetime, that this is simply who you are. The program I have seen pull all of that together is a 6-day course called Quit Sure. It is a real quit smoking program rather than a day counter, the kind of cessation program built to dismantle the belief and the identity instead of just timing your abstinence. And here's the part that lands hardest for a long-term smoker. While you are doing the Quit Sure program, you do not have to quit on day one. You keep smoking your normal cigarettes through the first days while those 20-year-old beliefs are taken apart, which is exactly when the work bites because you are examining the habit with the cigarette still in your hand. It was built by Stanford, IIT, and IM, alumni who had been smokers themselves, which is probably why it speaks to a long-term smoker without a trace of lecture. Finding something like that is the hard part, because the stores are mostly noise. Search and you will be buried in smoking cessation apps that are really just calendars with a streak attached. You scroll one stop smoking app past the next, an endless row of apps to stop smoking that all do the same small thing. Count the days you have lasted. Plenty cost nothing, and a free quit smoking app sounds like a gift right up until you realize a counter has nothing to say to someone who has believed they are a smoker for 20 years. So the only question worth asking of a quit smoking app is whether it changes anything underneath, and a smoking cessation app that just tracks you is not it. That, not the rating or the download count, is what should pick your best app to quit smoking. And QuitSure does not just make the claim. Its results were put through peer review in the JMIR journals, the Journal of Medical Internet Research, which recorded an 80.1% success rate among program completers at the 30-day mark. Keep the qualifier where you can see it because that number belongs to the people who actually finished the 6 days, not everyone who installed it and drifted. With more than 3 million downloads behind it, a lot of long-term smokers have already tested it on themselves. So, is it too late to quit after 20 years? No. The science could hardly be clearer about it. Quitting now still hands you years you would otherwise lose. Your risk starts falling within a matter of years, and your body begins repairing the moment you stop, however long you have been at it. The damage is not done. That is the lie that keeps the pack in your pocket. What is actually done is 2 decades of belief, and belief is the one thing here that can still be taken apart. Do that, and the cigarette loses the only real grip it had left. That is the best way to stop smoking after all these years, not mourning the time you cannot get back, but refusing to hand over the time you still have. If you want to see how that is done across 6 days, QuitSure is in the app stores with the link in the description below.